we're trying to basically maintain the same sort of cost basis that's been here at Congress Farm. Next year, we have some problems in terms of that the supply from Tivoli will be just at a fixed price. There won't be the work option. And in addition to that, Obercreek has promised that up to 100 members, we pay 5% of whatever we get from the membership to Common Ground Farm, and that will continue, and no matter what. But next year is a transition year. The year after, when we're going to be doing our full production at Obercreek, we are looking at a price of $650 per share. I would like to explore all sorts of your ideas on how we might tweak that. I know that a lot of the existing membership do the work option, and this is important. And so we have to. That's a conversation I want to have with all of you as to how we put this out, how we price it, because we need to grow this, and we're not going to grow this in shares in Westchester. We want to grow it in local shares, and that that's nothing is fixed in stone for 2014. It's a conversation I want to have with all of you as to what will work in terms of marketing and pricing.
So why don't we open up the questions and on your mind?
Well, Judy and I was going into the whole CSA extra. I thought the CSA had something to do with the Civil War. And what attracted us was the work option. We were semi-retired at the time we were in this.
Right.
We were attracted to the idea of getting our hands dirty and doing something about farming. So am I hearing correctly that the work option will not be available?
Not for next year.
For next year.
2014, that's a conversation that I want to have with all members, as to how we might organize a work option. There probably will be requirements for work options here at Stony Hill
Right.
for the mission-driven farming as well. So we're not going to have a shortage of work options out there, but this is something that Tim and I haven't, and Sam haven't really set in our minds yet. We have a full year to figure that out, and we want to do that collaboratively with you. We want all of you to come over, take a look at what we're doing, trying to figure out how we're going to, how everyone could pitch in. The flip side of the coin is that it has to be efficient. Tim and Sam are running the show. We have to make ends meet, and so that's why.
Do you have any insurance concerns?
No, I think insurance is going to be insurance, and this is not going to. We're going to have to deal with the fact that there will be people on the farm, because this isn't going to be a fenced-in place where no one can come. That sort of defeats the purpose of the whole of the whole thing. So we're going to have to.
Was the farm, prior to your involvement with the CSA, were you selling produce?
The last cow that was milked there was in 1961,
So
and my father said, "I never want to see a milking cow."
Dairy farming.
So between 61 and today, there is a local farmer, Bob Baisley, and he did sweet corn, and he raises some beef cattle, and he has a big hay business where he uses the cow barn to store his hay. He's he's in his mid-70s now. He thinks he's going to live forever, like all farmers. But that model of farming doesn't have legs to it in terms of the future. So he's sort of gruff and looks at Tim and Sam like they fell from Mars. But we're coexisting pretty well so far. So that's sort of the history of the farm. The farm's been in my family since about 1830. and went through various iterations. But it was a dairy farm since the late 19th century until 1961.
So again, we are planning on having a farmer here. We are planning on growing some food. There will be opportunities to work, but because, again, because of the fixed costs of the CSA from Hardy Roots, next year, there just isn't an opportunity to have that count against the shares. But there will be opportunities to be in the fields.
I think she just answered my question, but what are you doing here? What will you be doing here? I probably missed the first part of it.
Well, the pickup will still be here.
Okay.
No matter what.
The pickup will be here, and also the Lewis Wade pickup and all of that kind of stuff. And then we don't have a specific plan yet for the farming for next year. That's kind of what we're still looking at, but it will look a lot like it does today, although we will be growing less. We'll be taking care of the land more and having more fields, more parts of the field life fallow for to read.
But were you here when we talked about growing food still for Common Greens and for Fairground Cafe, that kind of thing? So
right. Yeah.
we're still
so
going
the
to.
food that we grow here will be for towards our mission-driven work, which will be food pantries for the mobile market that the Green Teens do in Beacon, and for hopefully for the summer feeding programs in Beacon, which are part of the free lunch program, the federal free lunch program. So a lot of that type of program.
And also one of the successful parts of the mission has been the farm mentorship aspect, which we don't want to lose either. And working with Green Teens especially it's one of the things that I'm excited about. That's just sort of a way to we can really sort of help infuse our youth substantially with an understanding of what it is, where our food comes from, what it is to grow it, how it is to work with it. So that's sort of part of that, I think, exciting.
Is the plan to stay scaled back here at the site, or are we just resting the soil? And then when the soil becomes healthier, are we going to then begin using it more and produce more here?
I think we would produce more here,
Okay.
but it's always going to be for mission-driven work.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The CSA is going to temporarily come from Tivoli, and then it's going to come from your property.
Right, exactly.
Correct.
Now, Tivoli, how far away is that?
That's, the farm's up in Red Hook.
So there's going to be an added expense for getting to transport that down every week, right?
The share is still going to be $650. It's going to be delivered here. It actually is one of the most successful CSAs in the valley. They must have 600-700 members. It will be a great benchmark for all members to hold Obercreek to for the future, because if we can get close to them, we're in good shape. If we're not below them, you can start yelling at Tim, Sam, and me. But that's really going to be a great benchmark, which makes me shiver. But it's a good one to shoot for in terms of the amount and variety of offering, because they're really the best of the CSA model in the valley.
Is that about an hour away?
It's about an hour. I don't want you ever driving up there.
Don't look.
That does bring up another point. They would be open to visits. Ben called and said they'd be open to visits or tours, and if anybody wanted to come take a look, he'd be open to that. And regarding the amount of food, Common Ground for the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons now, has been working on sort of a medium share schedule in terms of our crop planning, and so Hardy Roots advertises their share as a full share, so supposedly feeding a family of 4 or 2 really hardy vegetarians. And Common Ground has been operating on the scale slightly lower than that because we changed 4 years ago from a half share and a full share to a sort of a medium share to try to solve inequities in distribution groups. So, it'll be more food than you can get currently at Common Ground for that price.
Are they somewhat organic? Is that what we're talking about?
They are. Same thing as Common Ground, and same thing as what we intend to do at Obercreek. Be all done by the NOFA pledge. We have no wish to put a chemical, even if you get a worm.
So Tim, are you saying then responsible for growing everything here and growing everything?
No, so we've resigned from working with, being salaried employees by Common Ground effective at the end of this year. And Common Ground is actively looking for someone to tend to their fields for next year. And of course, we hope it's someone maybe that we've previously worked with and are happy to continue working with and mentoring.
So then you're like 100% Obercreek.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to go over to Obercreek and get a tour.